One of the things that I love about studying history is there are so many stories that are embedded within the stories. We've all heard of Operation Barbarossa and Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, and we've heard about how it broke during the siege of Stalingrad. But I'd never heard of Yakov Pavlov, or Pavlov's house for that matter, until David Thompson and DVG released Pavlov's house. It's a fascinating story. Less than 50 men holding out against the Wehrmacht for, 2 months. It's a great story of heroism. And I think that David Thompson's game captures that feel. You're constantly under pressure. You feel like you might have a chance, but you also feel like you're undersupplied. You've got so many decisions to make, and right there in the middle of it is the Wehrmacht deck doing its thing. I had a great time playing this game. It's got a flow to it. So once you get that flow going, the game, you get lost in it. And it's over before you know it. Hopefully it's over because you held out, but it could just as well be over because that stug that you didn't worry about drove right through the walls and game over. Let's check it out. Okay, so we're a few turns in. We've gone through the first part of the Wehrmacht deck. We have number 2 cards that are in play now. And you can see the situation as it stands. Both of my artillery are out. And I'd really like to get the 32nd back in because I already have a forward observer in the house. I was planning on using them until the Stukas showed up. We have just a couple of Wehrmacht troops out there. I've suppressed a couple, and I took one out with a machine gun on the last turn. And we have a Storm Group card in play now. Now we're just now getting into deck 2. So we've got a little while before we have to worry about a supply being an issue. But I would like to get the supply up as well. So depending on what we get for our Soviet cards, I'll tell you what I'd like to happen. I'd like to get reinforcements, and I'd like to do a storm group action as soon as possible. I could also use more suppression up here. I can't think of any actual Soviet card that I would be unhappy with. There's just others. Some I would be more happy with than others. So let's see what we get. We're going to take 4. We get 62nd Army and 1083rd Anti-Aircraft, the Volga and the 267th Anti-Aircraft, another 62nd Army, another Volga, and then the 139th Signal Battalion and 32nd Guards Artillery Regiment. So we can take a storm group action this turn using the 62nd Army. However, we cannot we don't really have enough guys who are available to take a storm group action. So I'm going to hope for the best the next turn. I would like to take the Volga. In fact, I'll take the 62nd Army to supply this area here. And I will use the one that's paired with the 1083rd because I want those Volga cards. So I'm going to send more food. I get to put 5 food, ammo, so that would be 2 food. I can put first aid tokens. Let me go ahead and put a couple of first aid tokens because we're going to need them after a storm group action. And 1 more ammunition. And then I'm going to use the Volga military flotilla to set 3 of those out. And I'm going to take those. And then I have the 62nd Army or the 32nd Guards Artillery Regiment cards to choose from. The 62nd Army is paired with Volga, and it's 139th Signal Battalion that's paired with the 32nd Guards. And I'm going to use that 62nd, or I'm going to use the Volga militia to go ahead and move these items to my supply. So we're in a little better situation there. And then I'm just going to hope for the best with these next card draws. Now, I don't know if you can see or not, the Storm Group color is purple for that card. And I don't have any Wehrmacht in that region right now. My goal is to keep them out of there and hope for a Storm Group turn in the future. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn over 3 cards and resolve them one at a time. Oh, so we've got some Stukas coming in, the Ju-87s. There are 3 of them. They're going to bomb. I do have the 1083rd has 1 ready token. So I'm going to take my anti-aircraft shot at him. I roll 2 dice for that. And if I get a 4 or better, each 4 or better reduces that 3 by 1. All right, so I'm going to reduce that 3 to a 2. So only one of these Stukas are going to get through. And I'm going to roll 3 dice to see where their bomb hits. And their bomb is going to hit location number 9, which is, oddly enough, the 1083rd, who just shot them down. All right, that's the first card. We'll resolve the next one. This one is machine gunners. So we're going to place some machine gunners. We're going to roll to see where they're placed. If they go into the purple, I'm going to suppress them. I'm going to try. They go into red 5. Red 5? That sounds familiar. I couldn't suppress them there if I wanted to. There's my forward observer I was talking about a while ago. All right, so machine gunners and Stuka. All right, and another Stuka. There are 3 of them. These I cannot intercept with anti-aircraft. These things are brutal in the first couple of decks. And then they show up again, I think, in the 4th deck to make things just a little harder on you. So the first one is going to hit. Oh, that's worst case scenario. It is going to hit 62nd Army Command Post. Wow, I think in all the times I've played this game, that's the first time that thing's been hit. Ooh, the second one will hit 9. But 9 is already hit. And when you roll one that's already hit, then you go up and up and up. However, this shows off my math skills. Bad at math, better at history. That's a 7. It's not a 9. So that's actually going to hit the flotilla. So we're going to be getting less supplies until we take care of that disrupted token. And then we have one more. That was close. 4, 5, 6. That's a small straight if we were playing Yahtzee. However, that's going to be a 15, which is going to be the 139th Signal Battalion. All right. This, I don't like that many disrupted tokens out, to be completely honest with you. So I'd like to get rid. Any of those come up, I need to disrupt. I need to not get tunnel vision on the storm group. All right, so now we're going to go into the Soviet counter phase. We've had the Soviet card phase. We've had the Wehrmacht phase. And now we're going to go into the Soviet counters phase. Now I've got, these were the actions I took earlier. Those 2 both exhausted to fire that machine gun. And we suppressed over there in purple 3. All right, so in the Soviet counter phase, I can move 3 of my counters, and then I can take actions with 3 of my counters. I've got 4 guys who are suppressed. Now I could use the command, I can use Pavlov's command ability to issue a suppress, or to issue a recover action to 3 of those 4. Which I like and I'm going to do, I think. I could use Pavlov because he's in the radio. I could call in 2 more points worth of reserves. But I think I'll get more value out of him if I give the recover order. So we're going to flip Pavlov. He's taking an action. He's giving a recover to these 3. And I put those tokens there because they can't take an action even though they don't have an action token, because they took a recover action from command. And these are all guys that I could use in a storm group action. All right, so that's 1 action for Pavlov. I have my forward observer up here. He has an attack value but no suppress value, so I can't add any suppression tokens for him. I can take the recover action with Alexandrov, and he will do so. And then I could take a suppress Lushenko, and I think I will. If I want to do that, I take one of my suppression counters from here, I put it in the red because he's in the red. And then when a Wehrmacht counter rears its head in the red zone, I can attempt to suppress them. Okay, so that is the end of the Soviet counter phase. And once you get into the groove in this game, the phases don't take long. You'll spend more time making decisions than you will doing it. And that's one of the things I love. There's so many decisions to be made. And we're going to go back to the Soviet card phase. It's that simple. We're going to draw 4. 62nd Army Command Post. Good. Both of these have the 139th. One has the Volga. The 8th Guard Sapper and the 139. And then the 8th Guard Sapper Battalion and the 267th Separate Anti-Aircraft Battalion. All right, so I'm going to take that 62nd Army Command Post action to recover. I'm not going to lose to 3 6s. I'm going to take the Volga Flotilla action to recover. And then I'm going to take the 139th Signal Battalion to... No, I'm not. I'm going to take the 267th Separate Anti-Aircraft Battalion action. So I can shoot some stukas that come my way, because they're going to come my way. That's the end of the Soviet card phase. Those decisions were all pretty much made for me. All right, so the first Wehrmacht card is a mortar attack. This is going to suppress defenders. I'm going to roll 4 dice. I'm going to roll them for the red sector, which is where most of my guys are at. Not only is that where my guys are at, that's also already been hit by an artillery attack. The value is 5. So I'm going to roll 4 dice. If any of them are 5 or better, first of all, I'm going to pick one of those combat locations, 1 through 6. We'll roll a die. 6. So if one of its 4 dice is a 5 or better, then my forward observer is going to be suppressed. And he is suppressed. Well, disrupted. And I can get rid of that with a recover action as well. That's our first of 3 horrible, horrible cards. Now we're going to attack the building. We're only going to hit red or purple. This is coming from a 7-point centimeter something or another. So also red, 3 dice. If any of these 3 is equal to 5 or better, I'm going to reduce the defense by 1. And so now the north part of the building has a defense of 4. They have hammered it. It was actually at 4 earlier, and I had a sapper action, because I had a sapper in my supply that I took, and used that to repair the building. All right. Last Wehrmacht card is a sniper. He's going to attack a defender. With 4 dice. They're going to attack red. Again, dadgummit. So nobody suppress that stuff. It's just mean. So I'm going to roll 4 dice. Well, first I'm going to determine which combat position in the red. I've got somebody in all of them. That's going to be Alexandrov, the one who just recovered. So if any of these is a 4 or better, so he's just waiting for this guy was just sitting there waiting for the Germans to knock a hole in that wall for him to get a shot through. A 4 or better, that guy's a casualty. That's it. He's out of the game. And that 4 is what we needed. Now, I do have the option of using one of these first aid counters to keep them from becoming a casualty. I put those there because you tend to lose a lot of guys in storm group action. There's like a 1 in 3 chance that they don't die during a storm group assault. That being said, he can't go on a storm group assault if he is dead. So I'm going to take this counter and return it to the supply, and we'll keep Alexandrov alive for a little while. All right, so that was 3 very nasty Wehrmacht cards, and that's the Soviet counter phase. All right, so I'm going to recover Pavlov. I think I can deal with my forward observer being disrupted for a turn, because I've got a rifleman out there and a machine gunner out there that I'd like to take out. And I can do that with my machine gun team up here. You have two guys in the same space if they have, if they're a weapon crew and have the matching weapon. It has an attack value of 2. These machine gunners are in red, and they have a defense value of 4. So if I roll 2 dice and get a 4 or better, I can get rid of those machine gunners, and then when the assault comes, they won't take place. If, more counters come there, they won't get pushed up. There's all sorts of reasons to take them out, and that will take them out. Unfortunately, that takes 2 actions. That exhausts both of those counters. So again, a very short Soviet counter phase. Put action tokens there so I remember who went. And we're back in the Soviet card phase. I need the 13th Guards Rifle Division Command Post card. I need, on a separate card, a 62nd Army Command Post. And then anything else would be nice too. Maybe I could free up my artillery. So we get the 13th Guards. That's good. We can reinforce. We get a 62nd Army Command Post. Another 62nd Army Command Post. And then we get a 139th Signal Battalion or an anti-aircraft regiment. Now I'm drawing 3. I only get to use, I draw 4. I only get to use 3, of course. I haven't seen a Fog of War card in a while, but I hit 2 early in the game. I don't remember if I hit the 3rd or not. So I'm going to take that 13th Guards Rifle Division Command Post. And I am going to reinforce using Naumov, because he's command and also has a Storm Group special ability. And Voronov, who also has a Storm Group special ability. And I'll show what those do in just a minute. Now, you can see the little dots there. That's how many points they cost. Each of these, one costs 4, the other costs 2. And I'm taking them because they both have Storm Group ability. But that's a total of 6 points. Naumov, with his command and Storm Group, comes in at 4. Voronov comes in at 2. So there's my reinforce. I did get the artillery card on one of the 62nd Army Command Posts, but I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the 1083rd Anti-Aircraft Regiment to reinforce over here, or to reload over here. And the reason I'm doing that instead of taking the disrupt off the artillery regiment is I don't have any groupings of enemies out here to shoot at, so I don't have to worry about that too much. Now that I've said that, that might become an issue later. So we'll reload the 1083rd separate, or the anti-aircraft regiment. And then I'm going to use the 62nd Army Command Post to take the war group action, or the storm group action. Now, to take a storm group action, you have to have a storm group card, and every time you do a resupply, you'll have a storm group card that you flip it over to. This is purple, the L-shaped house. 3rd Battalion, 42nd Regiment, 13th Division. Now there's a shield value, that's the defense value that I have to beat on the dice that I roll. If I do, I get 6 victory points. And here's the way to determine what you roll. You can pick any counters that aren't exhausted in the house to send on the storm group. And then for each one, you're going to roll 1 die. You're going to total those dice results and try to beat that 12. Now, Pavlov is exhausted. He took the command action. No, he recovered. He's not exhausted. So he can, in fact, go on this mission, if I so choose. And he will. And then I'm going to send Saryev, who's been sitting here just waiting for something to do. Those are 1 dice each, but it's going to get better than that. And then I've got this team over here to send. So that's 4 dice to roll a 12. However, 3 of those tokens have the S in their attribute, stands for Storm Group. And when they do, you roll 2 additional dice for each of those. So that would give me a total 10 dice to roll to get a 12. So that being said, that might be overkill. So I am going to leave Pavlov here. I'm not going to risk it. So that's going to give me 3 dice plus 4 is 7 dice to get a 12. So I'm going to roll 5 dice and then roll again. Hoping to beat a 12, so I'll have 6 victory points. Wow. Oh my goodness. That's 9. I couldn't have rolled any worse. I mean, I could have rolled another 1. That is a horrible result. But I get to roll 2 more dice. So we have 9. We need a 12. I saw that first one and I panicked a little bit. So 9 and 5 is 14. I'm not even going to double check that on the calculator. 14 does get past the 12. So we're going to score 6 victory points. We're going to use these at the end of the game. The game ends. When the game ends, if you survive, you tally your victory points to see just how well you did. These boost that up. It's the difference between surviving the game and really winning the game. You know, historically speaking, they went on many of these little storm group raids. Now, once that is done, you have to roll a die for each of your counters that took place. On a 1 to 4, that counter becomes a casualty. On a 5 or 6, they survive. So we'll roll for Saryev. He survives. He's tough. We'll roll for Voronov. He also survives. This couldn't have gone any better. And then we'll roll for Naumov. He would become a casualty, except I have this first aid token. So I'm going to pull that out. My entire storm group survived that assault. That's never happened before. And all of these heroes of the Soviet Union returned to the reserve box. That turned out great. So now we can keep playing. We've got 6 victory points. We're into the deck. Well, we've still got a little ways to go. Let's not count chickens before they hatch. Of course, I think by this time the siege of Stalingrad, there were no chickens left to be laying eggs, so they wouldn't be doing any hatching. Now, the game will end if I reach the bottom of this Wehrmacht deck at the end of the turn, after I draw the last Wehrmacht card. It will also end if I ever have to put a second disrupted token on number 18. If there's one there and I roll it again, the game ends. Because if there's a disrupted token where it goes, or you place it the next higher one until you can. Or it ends and you lose. Now, it ends when you reach the end of the Wehrmacht deck. It ends immediately and you lose if any of these counters advance into the house. Or if you put 2 tokens there. Or if I ever have no counters left in Pavlov's house. Alright, so we go back to the Soviet card phase. So as you can see, the game has a definite rhythm to it, and the theme is strong. You feel like you're under siege. You're holding off the Wehrmacht as they're making their advances towards you, and the next thing you know, you're out of food when the resupply card comes up. But don't give up, and don't forget those storm group missions, because you can hold out and you can win this game. And the victory points from those storm group cards are going to be the difference between just holding on and being a hero of the Soviet Union. David Thompson has another game coming out in a few months called Castle Eiter, which is about another fascinating World War II story that I'd never heard of, and I can't wait to see it. And this system of his would work for several other famous battles, the Defense of Wake Island, the Battle of the Alamo. I'd really like to see him apply it to the Siheng Warehouse, which happened during the Battle of Shanghai. I'll let you look it up and not spoil it for you. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Questions and comments, feel free to ask them below. I try to respond as soon as possible. And we'll see you next time, where we take a look at World War II on the European front from a different point of view.